Hey guys, Chris with another Chris Predicts, and today we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange going into Infinity War. So, just so you guys probably already know, Infinity War is going to be the third Avengers movie, and it's going to basically have all of the characters that we've met so far in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, probably with the exception of Captain Marvel, who's probably going to be introduced, and maybe Wasp in the fourth Avengers movie, but that will be we'll find that out at a later time. But basically, Doctor Strange. So what we've been basically discovered now in the MCU is that there's this whole other side that is all mystical and everything. That's the side that Doctor Strange comes from, and that side basically means that there's a lot more trippy stuff in the MCU than we originally thought. So, to break down what Doctor Strange is going to be doing, and as far as Infinity War is concerned, he's going to definitely bring to the table, as well as the rest of the other stones that are going to be in Infinity War, definitely the Time Stone. Because as we learned in Doctor Strange, the Time Stone is going to be very important for Thanos because thinking of what he could do with time, he could turn the Earth back to maybe even before the Avengers were formed, maybe go back in time during the Battle of New York, even if he wanted to. Could be a possibility. I think that would be a really cool idea, to take the actual time stone, or even like Doctor Strange to actually take the time stone and then go back maybe and formulate a plan with the Avengers. Just like, okay, this is what happens when Thanos comes. Now that we know that this is going to happen, we can stop it. So the Infinity Stones that we know of so far, and there have been five that we know of. There's only one more left. I'm still trying to figure out where that last Infinity Stone is going to be. I'm guessing it's probably going to be with Captain Marvel, which makes her coming to help the Avengers really more relevant if she finds that last Infinity Stone that Thanos needs. It's either going to be in there or probably Black Panther is my other theory. And there's an idea behind that as well. The purpose of Wakanda and everything, that it houses this old ancient technology, especially it's the home of the rarest metal on Earth, vibranium, which is what makes Captain America's shield. It's possible that there could be Infinity Stone there within Wakanda, but in all likelihood, I'm probably aiming towards Captain Marvel more just because she goes into that realm that Doctor Strange introduced us to. But the Infinity Stones that we know of so far are the Tesseract, which we saw in Captain America the First Avenger and the Avengers, which is the Space Stone. There is the Ether, which was first introduced in Thor the Dark World, that pink liquid thing that got onto Jane Foster and sort of mixed her up and everything and created all this thing. That's the Reality Stone. Then there's the Orb, which we were introduced to in Guardians of the Galaxy, the Power Stone, as it's also called, which is when the Guardians took that little pink gem and they all held hands with Peter Quill and everything, had a little dance contest. And there is the Mind Stone, which we were kind of introduced to early on, but we didn't actually know it was Infinity Stone until Age of Ultron. It was originally in Loki's scepter, which he got from the Chitauri, but now the Vision wears it as his little ring that he uses to bring him to life. And then the last stone, which is the latest stone that we just figured out, is Doctor Strange's emblem that he wears around his neck, the Eye of Agamotto, which is the Time Stone, which allows him to basically go back in time, and he sort of manipulates that in Doctor Strange. He uses it to save Wong. He uses it to create a deal with Dormammu, just be like, okay, leave Earth, and I'll break this loop of time and everything. But that stone seems to be like the most important one so far, other than the orb. I think could be a massive strike. The ether really too, but mainly all of them are really important. But I think the time one is going to be very useful towards the Avengers, because if Strange can control that one, and if Vision can control the Mind Stone, even if Scarlet Witch could also, that would even be helpful. If they can control those stones, then those are possible stones that they can get away from Thanos. Now, the Tesseract and the Ether, I'm not really sure how that's going to be manipulated away from Thanos, because at that point, to get that actual stone out of the ether, Thanos would have to crush the Tesseract, take the stone, and then put it in there. The same thing with the ether, unless it's like a liquid form that can be absorbed in the gauntlet, I'm guessing. But the last stone, I believe, going back to the comics, the last stone I believe is called the Soul Stone. Now, when I first thought of Soul Stone, it made me think back to Avengers when you see Loki take controlling his staff and sort of manipulating, Dr. Selvig and then Clint Barton, Hawkeye, and sort of getting them to do whatever he wants. That's what I originally thought. But now I'm thinking the stone could have more purpose. Now, they've sort of weaved in the Infinity Stones over the past couple years, within the cinematic universe, sort of like at the end of Phase 1, I guess this whole thing with the Infinity Stones sort of began. We didn't actually know that they were Infinity Stones till about Thor the Dark World introduced it and actually coined the name Infinity Stone for the sake of, the cinematic universe purpose. They're called something else, but that's what they're called by name of Thanos anyway. But what the Soul Stone could possibly have for Captain Marvel, not really sure. It has to fit into her story in some way. She could possibly be using it or anything, but definitely within the next couple movies, I would say definitely Guardians 2. I would not be surprised. Mid-credit scene, Thanos goes to Xandar, steals the orb. I wouldn't be surprised he goes to nowhere, steals the ether from the Collector, unless the Collector is working for Thanos himself, but there's no proof of that right now. And then the Tesseract is still on Asgard. That could be an easy fix. Someone could steal it in between the battle, deliver it to Thanos maybe. Although Thanos did say at the end of Avengers Age of Ultron he's working alone now, but I don't think that's true. Which also brings me to this whole other theory that I'm developing, which is Masters of Evil is forming. This, which is another big thing in the cinematic universe. I think that they're starting to build. It's going to start with Zemo, because Zemo in the comics is the original founder of the Masters of Evil. I think, and the dream villain team I think we're building for is the ones that haven't been killed, which right now are Baron Zemo, Baron Mordo, Ulysses Claw. Who else? I would say. Those are the only three I can think. Loki. Yes, Loki's the fourth. And Thanos would obviously be leading them, but I think there's room for another one. So maybe a Captain Marvel villain in there, maybe a Black Panther villain, maybe even some Spider-Man villains. Spider-Man has a plethora of villains to pluck from, as well as Black Panther does in his movie, because he has Eric Killmonger, Claw, as I mentioned, and Man-Ape. I'm sure they'll have others, but they have a wide pool to select from the Masters of Evil. But it's likely Baron Zemo will likely lead the Masters of Evil, but they will all answer to Thanos, and it just adds more tension for the Avengers to deal with, because not only are they dealing with the breakup that happened in Civil War, which is going to cause them to come back together just when the world needs them the most, which I think is a good idea, because it's just like you have these two groups of Avengers that are split at this time, and then they have to come together at this time when the Infinity War plays out. And then Doctor Strange's whole perspective is going to be, like I said, the time gem, which could be valuable for the team. He's going to offer other things, of course, to the team, like mystical advice and everything, just to see what he will do in Infinity War is going to be amazing. And we also know that now that he's going to be in Thor Ragnarok, also helping Thor and Loki locate Odin, which is also going to play into that storyline as well. But a lot of more interesting things to talk about as we get closer to Infinity War. Infinity War won't let out for another 2 years, so we got some time. But next year is going to be definitely big. We're done with Marvel movies, sadly, for the year. But next year we have Guardians 2. We have Spider-Man Homecoming, and then we have Thor Ragnarok. All three I'm looking forward to. Definitely to see the new take on Spider-Man. Definitely to see Guardians 2. Definitely to see Thor Ragnarok. I think that's probably going to be the best movie in the Thor series. They have a great cast they have building, and of course Doctor Strange now on that roster even makes it more interesting to see. So I'm curious to see about that. But what do you guys think that Doctor Strange's role is going to be in Infinity War? Do you think he's going to use the time gem in some sort of way that's going to help the Avengers, or will it be sort of like, I guess I call it Supermaning, where like Superman goes back and around the Earth in time and then tries and fix things. The Flash does it too, but I think that's what Doctor Strange's purpose is going to be. He'll offer cosmic advice to the team, sort of like a Mr. Fantastic type role, and then he'll probably use the time stone in some way, unless Thanos is able to steal it from him. But hopefully he can control it, because I'm thinking by that point in the cinematic universe timeline, he will have had more time to study the arts of mysticism and will have been able to study more and more about the Infinity Stones, just like Thor has been doing from Avengers: Age of Ultron onward now to Ragnarok, which will be coming next year. But let me know what you thought about the predicts. I'm probably going to be doing another Walking Dead video on Sunday. Next top-down review will probably be Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, unless I find something else that I think will be interesting. But let me know what you thought about Doctor Strange and the Infinity War prediction, and I will see you in the next video. Adios.